Hello guys, welcome to the next session of developing e-commerce application from scratch using Angular and Spring Boot. In the last session we discussed on how we can finalize the newly created components and API for the admin by applying the security. Now in this session we are going to talk about how we can design the home page. So on the home page, what we are going to do is we are going to show some of the products that we have into a database. So we are going to show kind of a browse page for the products. So again, in this session we are going to see all these products in a grid list, and in the upcoming sessions we will apply the search as well. But as of now, let's focus on the applying the grid list and showing the products to the user. So again, the home page will be accessible only for the users, and it will be also accessible for the admin. But the only difference is admin will not be able to buy any product, but user will be able to buy the products. But again, that buy functionality is upcoming feature that we are going to cover into a upcoming sessions. But as of now, let's focus on how we can show the product details and how we can design the home page. Again, to design the home page, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use these grid list. So we have to use this grid list. And again, so let me just do one thing first. Let me just log in with the admin, like admin123 and admin@pass. And if I just go to the show product details, so I have already added some products, like 4 to 5 products, and these same products we are going to show it on the home page as well. So let me just go to the home page over here. Now over here, what we have to do is we have to just use first of all grid list. So let me just go to the Angular material, and previously also we have used a grid list, so we don't need to import the module again, because as we have already used it, we can just we have to just import it for the once. So now let me just come back to the overview, and over here if I just go to the show code, then you will see the code for the grid list. So let me just copy this code, and let me just do one thing. Let me just go back to the VS Code, and over here we have one component that is called as a home component. So let me just go to the home component, and let me just go to the home.component.html file. Over here we have this container that previously added, and we are able to see this message as well. So let's remove this card and this particular message, and let me just paste these mat grid list code like this, and let me just save this code. Now let me just come back to the Google Chrome, and we are able to see something like this on the screen. The next thing that we have to do is we have to just apply some CSS styles. So we have to apply CSS style to the mat grid tile. So let me just copy this mat grid tile, and let me just go to the CSS, and let me just paste this mat grid tile, and then let me just give one style that is called as a border 1 pixel solid, and let me just use a gray color like this. And now let me save it. Let's see what is there on the UI. So now on the UI we are able to see these kind of output. So now the next thing that we have to do is, so over here if you see these the gray color is bit dark, so let me just use a light gray color. Let's see how it looks. Light gray color, and yes, now the light gray color is looking quite good. The next thing that we have to do is over here if you see, like in this grid we have only 2 different columns. So I just want to make it a 4, so that in one single row I can show the 4 different products. So let's do that. Inside a VS Code, let me just come back to the HTML file. Over here if you see, there is one property that is called as a columns. So as of now the value is 2. Let me make it as a 4, and now let me save it. Let's see. So now on UI it is looking quite good. The next thing that we have to do is we have to just increase the height of this grid, because in a one single grid we have to show different value. So like we have to show the product image, then we have to show some of the product name, then we have to show the description as well. Alongside we have to show the product actual and discounted price, and then if there is any offer, like let's assume if there is any bank offer right now, so we have to just show it as well, say like bank offer is applicable or something, some text like that. So let's increase the height. So over here, if you just see in a code, then we have one property that is called as a row height, and this row height basically takes the ratio. So over here the ratio is 2:1. Let me make it as 2:3, and now let me just save it, and let me just come back to the Chrome. And now if you see, like we got the correct grid size with the correct height and correct width. The next thing that we have to do is we have to just give some gap in between these two different grids, like this grid 1 and grid 2. So in middle of it we have to apply some gap. So for this, again, there is one property that is called as a gutter size. So let me just use gutter size is equals to, and let me just make it as a 10. Let's see what happens. And now if you see, like we have some gap in between in different grids. Now the grid is looking quite good. Just let me just do one thing. We can just apply the border radius as well. So let me just come back to the code and CSS, and let me just use border radius is equals to 5 pixel like this, and now it is looking perfectly fine. The next thing that we have to do is we have to now show the products onto these grids. So let me just do one thing. Let me just show you the API that we have previously created. So now if you see, if you just go to the backend and if you just go to the product controller, then you will be able to see one API that is called as a get all products. So this product get all products will return all the product details to the like UI. So as of now, we have applied a security that is like this particular API will be only accessible by the admin, but I think we should remove this security, but we will do it later. But I just thought to let you know, like we have to remove this security because these get all products, like to see all the products on the home page, we don't have to log in. So that is the only thing, that is the only reason we have to remove this security. So to see the product details on the home page, user don't require to log in. So without login also we can just see all the product details, and that is the reason there is no any security. But as of now we will keep it as it is, and we will require after some time. And this is the API that we have previously created, and we have also used this API in this particular component, like show product details. So this component will show the product details to the admin, and user can, admin can see the images as well. So over here we have used this used the API previously. So now the next thing that we have to do is we have to just use the same API to get the product details. So to do this, let me just do one thing. Let me just go to the VS Code, and over here first of all let me just show you the service that we have previously created. So over here if you see, the service that we have previously created is let me just go to the services. So there is one service that is called as a product service.ts, and inside this product service.ts we have one function that is called as a get all products. So this function we have to use in order to get all the product details. And now there is one more thing that we have to do is, if I just go to the let me just go to the show product details, and if I just go to the show product detail component, and over here if I just see, like, yes, so over here if you see, there is one more function that is get all products. And now inside this get all products, again we have used the get all product service. Alongside we have applied a pipe. So now this pipe we have applied is just because, like, in our database we are showing our product images as a bytes, or we are saving the product images as a byte images, but on the UI we cannot use it directly. So we have to just process the images in order to show it onto a UI. So previously, like on my show product details, so if I just show it onto a UI, so on the show product details components, so now if I just click on these images, we get all the product images. So over here we are processing the images, like we are converting the image bytes into a proper images that UI can handle. So these things that we have used with the help of this pipe, and again we have created one image processing service as well to process these services. So we have already created this one. So all this code is already there, we have to just use it. Now let me just do one thing. Let me just go to the home component and ts file of home component, which is home.component.ts. Let me just inject my product service, which will be of type product service, like this. And inside the ng on init, what we have to do is we have to just not inside ng on init, let's create one different function. So let me just make it as public get all products, like this. This function is not going to take any parameter. Over here what we have to do is we have to just use this dot product service dot get all products, like this. And then what we have to do is we have to just apply a pipe. Now we can apply the same pipe that we have used previously. So let me just copy the same pipe, and even we can copy the same subscribe as well. So let me just copy the entire function itself, like get all products, and I'll just explain you this function as well, but let me just copy it and let me just paste it over here. Now what we are doing over here is we are just creating one function, that is get all products. Again we are calling the service function get all products. Inside the service, like it will return us all the product details. So now inside the product details we have to we have to process our images as well. So with the help of this pipe, what we are doing is whatever images we will receive, that images we are processing with our image processing service that we have previously created. So now if you are not aware about these particular things, like how to use map and what is the things, so I'm just not going to explain much, but I'll just explain you a little bit. So map is basically a function which will, you can just consider it as a, which will convert a one type of data into a other type of data. So from like as of now in our case, what we are doing is we are just converting our picture bytes into a actual images. So these kind of conversions it will just do, and then once this conversion is done, then only we are just subscribing to the code. So that is the only thing that we have to do. Now again we are getting some errors over here, so let's resolve it. So for the products we have to import the product, so we have to import it. This map again comes from RxJS operators, so we have to import the map from the RxJS. And image processing service, we have to inject it, that we have previously created. So let me just use comma private image processing service, which will be of type image processing service, like this. And again for these product details, so we have to create one variable which will handle the product details. So let me just create one variable on the top, like this, and let me just give it as a null right now, or we can just give it as an empty array. And let me just remove this keyword, like this. And now let me just save it, and now we are not able to see any errors. The only thing that we have to verify is whether we are able to print all the product details on the console or not. So let me just save this code, and now let me just do one thing. Let me just go to the VS Code. Let me just not a VS Code, let me just go to the Google Chrome. Let me just open console, and let me clear the console, and we can just go to the home page. Let's see whether we are able to get it or not. So let me refresh it. So still we are not able to get it. I think we have left back with the calling this function. So from the ng on init, we have to just call the function. So let me just call like this, and now we can save it. And if I just go to the VS Code, then not VS Code, Google Chrome, then we are able to see this array, and then we are able to see these all the product details into a console, like this. Now we got our product details on the console. The only thing that we have to do is we have to just show these product details on our this grid. The next thing that we have to do is we have to just use this particular array name. So let me copy it, and we can just go to the HTML. So we can just remove these we can just keep only matte grid tile, only one matte grid tile, and we can just remove it all the others, because we are going to use ng for that is the only thing. We have to keep only one. And now let me just do one thing. Let me just use ng for is equals to let p of product details like this, and now let me save it. Let's see what happens on the UI. So on the UI, if you see, we are able to see the 5 different grids created. Why we are getting the 5? Because we have 5 products available in our database. So that is the reason we are getting these 5 grids created on the UI. Now what we have to do is we have to show the images, and then we have to show the product name, description, and prices as well. So let's focus on how we can show the images. So for the image, what we have to do is we have to just use our img tag. So let me just use div. First of all, let me just create one div, and let me just apply one class that is called as a row. Inside this div, let me just use image tag. So let me just use image tag and src. So over here we have to use a src. So now before using the src, let me just explain how we are going to use it. So now if I just show you on the console, and if I just expand our first product, so on the first product, what we have an array that is called as a product images. Inside the product images, we have 4 different images, right? But we are not going to show all the 4 different images on this home page grid, because we will be able to show only one images on the grid. So as of now, we are going to focus on only one images. So when user will click on the product, and we will show the like entire product details on one single page. That is the next part. But like show product description, the button that we are going to add, maybe after clicking on that button, user will be able to see all the images, all the product details. But as of now, on the home page, we are going to show only limited things to the user, right? So that is the only thing. We are going to show only first product image. So how we can do is, inside the product images array, what we have to just use its 0th index. Inside the 0th index, we have one property that is called as a URL. So this property we have to access. So how we are going to do is, what we have to do is we have to just use src as p dot, then we have to call this array name. So let me just copy the array name, product images. Inside the product images, we are going to access the 0th index. That is the reason I'm just going 0th index. And then inside the 0th index, again we have 2 different things. We have file and we have URL. So file is an actual file, and URL is nothing but a URL that we can use to show the images. So we have to use .url. So let me just use .url like this. And now let me just save this code. Let's see what happens on the UI. I think we will not be able to get it on the UI. So let me just do one thing. Let me just close it, and we are not able to see it. What we have to do is, let me just use the binding like this, and yes, now we are able to see the images. So over here we have to use the binding to the src, because we are going to bind a value. So this is not a this is not kind of a actual URL, because we are going to use a variables and all. That is the reason we have to bind it to the property. So now we are able to see the images on the screen. So we can just apply some styles as well. So let me just apply some styles. So let me just apply one more class, and we have to create the class into a CSS, but let me just apply home page or home page product image like this. So we have to create this class. So let me just copy the name, and let me just come to the CSS. We have to just create a dot home page product image. Inside this, the very first property that I'm going to apply is max width. Max width will be a 90%. Then max height will be also a 90%. Then the next property that I'm going to apply is margin left will be a auto. and margin right will be also a auto. So margin left and margin right auto will take care of taking the images into a center. So that is the reason we have to apply these properties. Now let me just come back to the browser and we are able to see everything is perfectly fine. Then the next thing that we have to do is below to this image we have to show the product name. So let's see how we can show it. Now let me just come back to the HTML. Inside the below product image, what we have to do is we have to use a paragraph tag and we have to use p dot, and let me just take a look to the name. So I think it is a p dot product name or something like this. So yes, it is a p dot product name. So we have to use this product name. So p dot product name, and we have to use a interpolation. So let me just give these two curly brackets like this and let me save it. And let's see what happens on the UI. So we are able to see this iPhone 7, iPhone 8, iPhone 10, all the names of the product. Again, what we have to do is we have to just take it as a bold. So let me just do one thing. We can just apply, there is one more tag that is called as a bold or B tag. So let me just give the name like this and let's see what happens. Let me just go to the browser and we are able to see it into a bold, and which is looking quite good, but we have to give some margin as well from the top so that it will look quite good. So let me just do one thing. Let me just take all these things into a division. Let's see, and let me just use class empty 3 like this, and let's see what happens. And now we are able to see some gap in between this image and in this iPhone 7 and in this text as well. After that we have to give some product description as well. So let's see how we can do this. So let me just come back to the VS Code and let me just copy the same paragraph, and let me just copy the same division and let me just paste it, and this time we have to just use p dot product description. So I know the property name, you can just take it onto a console if you are confused. And now let me save it. Let's see what happens. And now we are able to see the product description as well. The only thing that we have to do is I'm just not going to make it as a bold. So let me just remove this bold tag like this for the description, and also let me just make it as empty 2 instead of empty 3. So empty is nothing but a margin top if you are getting confused. Now it is looking quite good. The next thing that we have to do is we have to just give a one button as well, and we have to give a pricing as well. So button, what we are going to do is we are just going to show one button like kind of a view all the details or maybe kind of a view product button, so that user can click on it and user can just go to the one specific image, one specific page which will show the entire product information. So let's see how we can add that button and this price as well. So for this price, let me just do one thing. Let me just copy the same division again and let me just paste it. And over here, I'm just getting confused with the property name. So let me just inspect it again. Let me just go to the console, and inside this we have two different names. So we have the product actual price and we have the product discounted price as well. So let me just copy the name product actual price and let me just paste it over here like this. Let's see what happens on the UI. So I'm not sure. Yeah, so now we are able to see the product actual price. Alongside we have to show the product discounted price as well. Let me just copy the same paragraph and let me just paste it, and let me just give the product discounted price. Let me just copy the key like this and let me save it. Let's see what happens. So I'm not able to see this paragraph, so let me just remove this. I think let me just remove this and make it like this. Let's see what happens. Yes, so now we are able to see the product actual price and discounted price, right? So I think what we can just do is we can just shuffle these places. So first of all, I just want to show product discounted price, and then I want to show the actual price. So let me just first of all show the discounted price and then actual price like this, and let's see what happens on the UI. Yes, it is looking bit nice. Then again we have to just show some strike or maybe some text stroke or line on these actual price, so that we can say that the price is 50,000, actual price is 50,000, but that is not a valid case. We are giving you this product into a 45,000. So we have to show some dash on this particular price. So let me just show you how we can do this. So let me just what we can just do is we can just, I think we have to use some separate divisions, or maybe yeah, let's try to apply some separate things, or maybe we can just keep it as it is right now. First of all, let's focus on how we can add the button. So let me just copy the same division, and let me just do one thing. Let me just use a button, and type is equals to button, and over here we are just going to show the text as view like this, and let's see how it is looking on to a browser. So button is not there, so let's see whether I'm able to save it or not. So I think button should be visible. I'm not sure why it is not showing, or maybe there might be some situation where we were facing the issue on to a height as well. So I think that is the only case, because grid is having the limited height and we are not able to we don't have the space to show the buttons. So let me just try to do one thing. Let me just try to increase the height of these. Let me just try to make it as 3:5. Let's see. I'm just taking a look, and then we will just arrange it as well. So now if I just make it 3:5, then we are able to see the button. So we can just keep it as it is. I think it is looking quite good. Now what we have to do is we have to just apply some styles to a button. So again, we are just going to use Angular material styles. So for this, what we have to do is we have to just go to the buttons tab, and then over here you will be able to see all the button styles and different types of button that we have inside the Angular material. I'm just going to use a matte raised button, and I'm just going to use this color as a worn color. So you can just take a look to the code as well if by clicking on this view code button. So we have to just write it as a matte raised button, and color is equals to worn. So let me just copy it, and let me just make it as a matte raised button, and color is equals to worn like this. And now let's see how it is looking on the UI. So on the UI it is looking perfectly fine, and the only thing that we have left back is on this price. So on this price we have to show the price properly. So let's see how we can do this, but I'm not sure like whether we have to show this view button or we can make it as a view description. So we can just think on that. So I think like as of now we can just keep it as a view or a view product. Let's see how it looks. Let's make it as a view details. Details like this. Let's see how it is looking. So I think yeah, view details also is looking quite good. So we can just keep it as it is, like view details, and we can just change in the future, change the text in the future if it is required, but I think as of now we can keep it as it is. The only thing that we have to do is we have to focus on the price. Let's see how we can do this. Now to show a price, what we have to do is we have used a paragraph type, paragraph tag, but instead of the paragraph, what we can just do is we can just use a bold, which is a B tag, and then what we can just do is we can just, let me just do one thing. Let me just end this B tag over here first, and then let me just open one more B tag like this, and then for the actual price, what we have to do is we have to just apply some style. So for this b tag we can just apply some style like text decoration, which is a line through like this. And now let me just save this code. Let's see what happens on the UI. So now on the UI, if you see, like we are able to see like 55,000, and we are able to see one dashed line on to a 60,000. The only thing that we have to do is we have to just give some space in between these discounted and actual price. So let me just do one thing. Let me just apply and NBSP, and let me just save it. Let's see how it is looking. So now it is looking perfectly fine. The next thing that we have to do is we have to just give a currency over here. So I'm just going to use a rupees, which is the Indian currency. And if you are looking from the other country, then you can just use your currency, or you can just use a Google icons as well. So we are just going to use the icons in the future, but as of now I think using the text is making more sense to me, in order to keep it simple as possible. Now let's see how it is looking. Yes, now it is looking perfectly fine. And now we are able to get all these things like image, then product name. We are able to see these product description as well, and then we are able to see the few details button as well. The next thing that we have to apply, there is one more style that we have to apply, is for the product description. Let's suppose as of now we have only limited characters into a product description, but let's suppose what if we have like a long pretty long description. So in that case we have to apply some styles as well, right? Because we don't want to make it too big, so we want to keep this product description into a limited size, right? So for this we have to apply a few more styles. So let me just quickly show you how we can apply it. So let me just come back to this paragraph. Let me just apply some style, and then the very first style that we have to use is white space, and then we have to give a white space as inherit. Then the next style that we have to apply is text overflow, and then text overflow will be I think we have to use text overflow as ellipses. And then there is one more style that we have to use is, let me just take a look. So we have to just give it word wrap as a break word. So let me just try to apply these lines, and to test these changes, let me just do one thing. Let me just use the lorem ipsum over here like this. So lorem ipsum is basically a dummy text, so we can just use it. Let's see how it is looking. So over here I don't think like styles are getting applied, and we have to apply some width and height as well. So we have to just give some height and width as well. So if you see into this reference document that I have previously created, so we have to just apply some height and width as well. So I was using the height as a 80 pixel and width as a 288 pixel. That is the only thing that we have to apply. So let me just apply the height as so let me just apply, instead of this word wrap, we don't require it. So instead of this word wrap, let me just apply height as 80 pixel and then width as 288 pixel like this. And then we have to apply overflow, which is a hidden like this. And let's see what happens on the browser. So on the browser, yes, it is looking quite good, but still we are facing the challenges. We are facing the challenges with this, like we are still not be able to get our button in the proper place. So what we have to do is we have to just, I think we are also facing the challenges with the images, because some of the images are taking some big heights and some of the images are taking some small height. So we have to look into that as well. So if I just go to the image part, So what are the styles that I have applied? So max styles, max width is equals to 90%, max height is equals to 90%, but I think we should give, let me just try to give some height. I'm just giving some random height. Let's see how it looks like first. So if I just give it 200, it will not work. Let me just give a 50. Yeah, this is also not going to work, so we don't have to apply a height. Yes, so now the only thing that we have to do is we have to just, so yeah, so only thing that we have to do is we can just apply some proper styles to the images. So if I just go to my reference document, what I was looking into previously is I was just looking into the same heights. Yeah, so if you just see, like we were applying the same styles that we are applied over here, but I think what we have to do is we have to just give some special attention to the images, because every single images will be will be of different heights and different widths, so we have to give some special attention to it. But as of now, what we can just do is we have just applied the maximum height and maximum width, so that is the only reason we don't have to worry much. And as of now, what we can just do is we can just focus on how we can take the button. So let me just try to change the height of this description to the 40 pixel, and let's see what happens. Yeah, yes, so if I just make it as a 40 pixel, then it is looking perfectly fine and it is working like as expected. So if I just refresh it, so yes, it is now looking perfectly fine. So now over here, if you are if you see like what is happening, when I refreshing, I just observed one thing, like when I refresh the code, I'm just going to get the different images. Like if I just refresh, like if you just focus on the iPhone 7, and if I just see the image, like I'm able to see this blue iPhone, and if I just refresh this, then I'm able to see the different images. So I think this is the only because my database might be returning the images in a different, like in a different sequences, and that is the only thing we are able to see these see these differences on the images, like on the UI. So don't need to worry about it. There is nothing to nothing much to worry about it. So I will just take a look as well why it is behaving like this, but I'm sure like it is it might be returning the images in a different sequences, and that is the only reason it is showing us the different images on the UI. But yeah, we can just keep it as it is, and also like getting the different images every single time is also good, so we will get some dynamic changes as well. Yep. So now this is how our home page is looking like, and I'm happy with it. You can just do one thing, like you can just add few more products and you can just see how your page is looking like. You might have to change the height and width of the images and this description, maybe the buttons according to your screen sizes. So I think you can just apply your heights and widths according to your need, but like you have to just change the values, and maybe if required you have to just apply some CSS styles, but most of the things we have already done. In the next session, what we are going to do is we are just going to make this view details button workable. So when user will click on this view details button, then we are going to show one specific images where we will show all the information about the iPhone 7. We will show all the images, we will show the entire description, we will show buy button as well, so that user can buy it. So we are able to, so we will be able to show all the details on that page. The only thing that we have left back is, let's suppose if I just click on the logout, because as of now I am logged in as an admin. So if I just click on the logout, then also we are getting the details. So let me just do one thing, let me just try to log in with the user, that is a Raj123 and Raj@pass. So Raj is nothing but a normal user, so I think I just missed a password. So Raj@123, yes, so Raj is nothing but a normal user, and let me just go to the home page. So now over here we are able to see these you are not allowed to access this page. The reason is our backend API, which returns us all the product details, is applicable to the only admin. And now what we can just do is we can just remove this particular pre-authorize tag from over here, because we want to make it accessible to every single person, even though if that person is not logged in. So let me just save it. And now what we have to do is we have to just bypass the security. So we have to just copy this name of the API, and then we have to just give it inside the web security configuration. Inside the web security configuration, there is method that is configure, and over here if you see, like there is one list, and inside this list we have already two APIs. To bypass the security, we have to add one more, that is get all products. And now let me just save it. Let me just restart my application. Let's see how it looks like. Now let me just go to the home page again. So yes, for the user, now I'm able to get all the images. So again, let me just refresh it. Yes, so every single time I'm able to get it. Let me just click on logout. So even though I'm logged out, if I just try to access the home page, so yeah, so now again there is one more challenge that we are getting over here. So if I'm not logged in, it will not also allow me to access the home page as well. So that is again one more thing that we have to look. So as of now, what we can just do is we can just keep it as it is, and we can just logged in with the Raj again. And if I just go to the home, then again I will be able to access all these details. But in the next session, what we will do is we will first of all focus on how we can apply the proper security, and then we will move forward with the new features. So I hope like you enjoyed this session. Like in this session we discussed on how we can design the home page. Again, there are few more things that we have to do, but I think we got most of the things. Like we are able to see the details on the home page, and we are able to see it in a proper way with the help of this grid. If you still have any questions, let me know into a comment section, and I will try my best to help you out in that case. And I hope you enjoyed this session, and I'll see you in the next session.